I never thought I'd end up marrying into a war I couldn't even see coming. My name's Emily Harper, and back in 2018, life felt like one of those perfect Instagram feeds, filtered, sunny, and full of promise. Jake and I met at a rooftop bar in uptown Charlotte during one of those sticky North Carolina summers. He was tall, easy smiling, with that southern boy charm that makes you forget your own name for a second. He worked in tech sales. I was a graphic designer freelancing from coffee shops, and within 6 months, we were picking out rings. The day he proposed on a hike at Crowder's Mountain with a picnic he'd packed himself, I said yes before he even finished the question. We called his mom, Diane, right from the trailhead. She squealed so loud through the phone I had to pull it away from my ear. "Oh, honey, welcome to the family. You're the daughter I always prayed for." Diane was a force. Widowed young when Jake's dad walked out on them, she'd raised Jake alone in a cute little ranch house in Raleigh. She was a retired school administrator, organized, opinionated, and always put together. Pearls, pressed slacks, the kind of woman who could run a PTA meeting and a bake sale at the same time, without breaking a sweat. Everyone loved her. Everyone. When we announced the engagement, Diane insisted on throwing the party. Not just any party, the party. She booked the private room at the Capitol Grill downtown, hired a planner, ordered custom floral arrangements that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She paid for everything without even asking if we wanted to contribute. "This is my gift to you both," she said, hugging me so tight I could smell her Chanel No. 5. "I want it to be perfect." And it was perfect. Champagne flowed, Jake's aunts and cousins flew in from all over, and Diane gave a toast that had half the room in tears. She talked about how proud she was of the man Jake had become, how she'd always dreamed of this day, and how she couldn't wait to welcome me into their little family of two. I remember looking around that room, feeling so grateful, so lucky. I had no idea I was walking straight into a trap disguised as love. The first real hint came a few months later when Jake and I closed on our house, a cozy 3-bedroom Craftsman in the No-Daw neighborhood. It needed some work, but it had original hardwood floors, a big backyard, and that front porch swing I'd always wanted. We were so excited. Moving day was chaos. Friends hauling boxes, pizza boxes stacked on the counter, music blasting from a Bluetooth speaker. Around noon, Diane pulled up in her silver Lexus with the back seat packed full. She stepped out in white capris and a crisp blouse, looking like she was heading to brunch instead of a move-in day. "Surprise," she sang, popping the trunk. Inside were brand new pots and pans, all clad, the expensive kind, as well as a full set of knives, cutting boards, and kitchen towels monogrammed with an H. "I know you registered for some things," she said, breezing past me into the kitchen, "but these are so much better quality. You'll thank me later." I was still holding a half-unpacked box of my own mismatched cookware from college when she started pulling my stuff out of the cabinets I'd just organized. One by one, my thrift store finds and hand-me-downs went into a big black trash bag she'd brought. "Goodwill will love these," she said cheerfully. "No sense cluttering up your beautiful new kitchen." I stood there, mouth half open, not sure whether to laugh or cry. Jake walked in, sweaty from carrying the couch, and saw the scene. "Mom, you didn't have to do all this," he said, but he was smiling, grateful even. "I wanted to," Diane replied, giving him a kiss on the cheek. "My baby's starting his real life now. Everything should be perfect." She turned to me with that big, warm smile. "Emily, honey, don't look so shocked. We're family now. What's mine is yours." I forced a laugh. "Thank you, Diane. This is really generous." But as she rearranged my entire kitchen, my kitchen, to her exact specifications, I felt this tiny knot form in my stomach. It wasn't a big thing, just pots and pans, right? She was excited. She was helping. Jake wrapped an arm around me later that afternoon when Diane was in the garage organizing our tools. "Isn't she amazing?" he whispered. "Mom knows best about this stuff." I nodded, smiling up at him. "Yeah, she's great." That night, after everyone left and the house was finally quiet, I opened the donation bag she'd left by the door. My old cast iron skillet, the one my grandma gave me when I moved out, was in there, scratched up, seasoned over years of pancakes and cornbread. I pulled it out and put it back in the cabinet, right in the front. It was such a small act of rebellion, barely anything at all. But it was the first time I realized I might have to fight for space in my own life. I just didn't know yet how big the battle was going to get. By the time our daughter Lily arrived in the spring of 2021, I'd already learned to tiptoe around the invisible lines Diane had drawn through our house. Pregnancy had been its own kind of whirlwind. Jake was thrilled, hovering over me like I was made of glass. But Diane, she turned it into a full-time job. Daily texts. Are you drinking enough water? You shouldn't eat deli meat. I booked you an appointment with my old OB. Better safe than sorry. I'd smile, thank her, and quietly keep my own doctor. The real shift happened the day we brought Lily home from Atrium Health Pineville. I was exhausted, sore, running on adrenaline and hospital coffee. Jake carried the car seat inside while I shuffled behind in yoga pants and one of his oversized UNC hoodies. Our little craftsman bungalow smelled like lemon cleaner because Diane had come over the day before and freshened things up. She was already there waiting for us, of course, sitting on our couch with a casserole dish on the coffee table and a pink gift bag the size of a small suitcase. "Welcome home, sweetheart," she sang, jumping up to take Lily from Jake before I could even reach for her. "Oh, look at my grandbaby. She's perfect." I managed a tired smile. "Thanks for the casserole, Diane. That's really sweet." She waved me off. Sit, sit. You look wrecked. I'll handle everything." And just like that, she did. Within an hour, she'd rearranged the bassinet in our bedroom for better airflow, swapped out the swaddles I'd carefully folded for ones she'd bought. These are organic cotton, much safer, and informed me that the nursery glider I'd picked out was cute but not ergonomic. She'd already ordered a new one, delivered tomorrow. Jake just grinned. "Mom's on a mission." I told myself it was temporary, new grandma excitement. She'd calm down once the newborn fog lifted. But she didn't. Diane had a key made the week Lily was born. Jake gave it to her in case of emergencies. She started using it like a subway pass. I'd be in the living room at 10 a.m., nursing Lily under a cover, hair in a messy knot, when I'd hear the front door click open. "It's just me," she'd call out, letting herself in with grocery bags or laundry baskets or random baby gadgets she'd ordered off Amazon. One morning, I came downstairs in my robe to find her reorganizing the nursery drawers. My carefully labeled onesies, sorted by size, were now color-coded. "I just thought this system made more sense," she said brightly, not even looking up. "You'll thank me when you're half asleep at 3 a.m. I stood in the doorway holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold. "Diane, I actually had it the way I wanted." She paused, gave me that patient smile teachers give slow students. "Honey, I raised Jake by myself. I know what works." That became her refrain. I know what works. She picked Lily's pediatrician, some doctor she'd known since Jake was little, 40 minutes away in South Charlotte. "He's the best," she insisted. Jake agreed before I could open my mouth. She chose the paint color for the guest room, soft sage green, because you'll want me to stay over often, and beige is so depressing. She brought the paint swatches herself. Jake said yes, I swallowed no. She even corrected the way I folded laundry. I'd be at the kitchen table with a pile of tiny socks when she'd sit down, unfold everything I'd done, and refold it into perfect little squares. "This way they don't stretch," she'd explain gently. I started hiding in the master bathroom just to get 5 minutes alone. The worst moments were when she'd take Lily from my arms without asking. "You're holding her too low, support the neck better." She'd adjust my hands before simply lifting the baby away. Then she'd sway around the living room cooing while I sat there empty-armed, feeling like an incompetent intern. Jake never saw it the way I did. Whenever I tried to bring it up, he'd get this tired look. "Babe, she's just trying to help. She raised me alone after Dad bailed. She sacrificed everything. Cut her some slack." I'd nod, bite my tongue, tell myself I was being sensitive. Hormones, new mom anxiety. But deep down, something was cracking. One night, after Diane had stayed until almost 9 helping with bedtime, I finally snapped a little. She'd just finished telling me again that I was using the wrong detergent for Lily's clothes. As soon as the door closed behind her, I turned to Jake on the couch. I need boundaries, I said, voice low so I wouldn't wake the baby. She's here every day. She rearranges everything. I feel like I'm living in her house, not ours. Jake rubbed his eyes. She loves Lily. She loves us. She's excited. It'll calm down. It's been 4 months. He sighed. Look, I know it's a lot, but family helps family. She doesn't have anyone else. I stared at him. We're her family, but this isn't help, it's control. The word hung in the air like smoke. Jake's face tightened. That's not fair. You knew she was close to me when you married me. I felt the tears coming and hated myself for it. Close is one thing. This is something else. He reached for my hand. Just give it time, please, for me. I let him pull me into a hug. I didn't cry. I just rested my head on his shoulder and felt the weight of everything I wasn't saying. Because I loved him, because I didn't want to be the difficult daughter-in-law, because I told myself maybe he was right, maybe I was overreacting. But that night, after he'd fallen asleep, I stood in Lily's nursery and looked at all the things Diane had changed. The mobile she'd replaced, the shelves she'd rearranged, the little pink bow she'd clipped into Lily's hair, even though I'd said no bows until she had more hair. I reached up and took the bow out, gently so I wouldn't wake her. And for the first time, I let myself admit it. This was not going to calm down. This was only getting started, and I had no idea how far it would go. Thanksgiving 2023 was supposed to be my year. Lily was 2.5, finally sleeping through the night, and I'd been dreaming about hosting our first big family holiday in the house. Jake's aunts and uncles were driving down from Raleigh, my parents were flying in from Florida, and I wanted to prove, to myself more than anyone, that I could pull off a magazine-worthy spread. I started planning in October, Pinterest boards overflowing. Herb-crusted turkey with compound butter under the skin, garlic mashed potatoes with chives, roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon and balsamic, homemade cranberry sauce with orange zest, and my pride and joy, my grandma's pecan pie recipe that won blue ribbons at the county fair back in the day. I even ordered a cute, thankful banner and little turkey place cards for the kids' table. Jake was on board. "Babe, this is gonna be epic," he said, kissing me while I tested brines in the kitchen. I felt like the old me again, creative, in control, excited. Diane got wind of it, of course. She called one evening while I was chopping onions. "I hear you're doing the bird this year," she said, her voice light but edged with something I couldn't place. "That's brave, honey. Turkey's tricky." "I've been practicing," I replied, trying to sound confident. "I've got a good recipe." Well, I'll bring a few sides. You'll need help." I hesitated. "Actually, I think I've got it covered." "Nonsense," she cut in. "It's tradition. I always do the sides." I let it go. "A few sides. Fine." The week of Thanksgiving, my parents arrived early. Mom helped me set the table with the good china I'd inherited, and Dad strung lights on the front porch. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine from the candles I'd lit. It felt warm. Ours. Thanksgiving morning, I was up at 6, turkey in the oven by 7, basting it every 30 minutes like the recipe said. The kitchen was my domain. Flour on the counters, music playing low from the Alexa, Lily coloring at the island while Jake carved pumpkins outside with my dad. At 10:30, the front door opened. No knock. Just Diane's voice singing out, "Happy Thanksgiving, family." She came in carrying 2 giant grocery bags and a foil-covered pan that smelled like her famous cornbread dressing. Behind her, Jake's cousin helped haul in a second load, including a second turkey, a bigger one, 24 pounds. My stomach dropped. "I brought a bigger bird," Diane announced, setting it on my counter like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Yours looked a little small for the crowd, and I'll handle the sides. Your recipes are cute, but mine are traditional." I stared at the raw turkey taking up half my counter space. My turkey, already golden and beautiful in the oven, was suddenly small. "Diane," I said, forcing a smile, "I've got this, really. The turkey's almost done and the sides are prepped."
She was already unloading bags, her own stuffing mix, canned green beans I'd bought fresh, instant mashed potatoes I'd peeled 10 pounds of Yukon Golds by hand. "Oh, honey, don't worry," she said, patting my arm like I was a child. "You've got enough on your plate with Lily. Let Mama take over." She turned the burner on under her pots before I could protest. Then she opened my fridge, pulled out my carefully labeled Tupperware of homemade cranberry sauce, and set it aside. "This is sweet, but people expect the jellied kind from the can. It's nostalgic." I felt the heat rise in my face. My grandma's recipe, gone in one sentence. Jake walked in, saw the chaos, and grinned. "Diane, you're a lifesaver." He gave her a hug, didn't even look at me. Within minutes, she'd completely taken over. My Brussels sprouts went back in the fridge, too fancy, my garlic mash was deemed overpowering, and she started dumping boxes of stovetop into a pan. The kitchen, my kitchen, became hers. I stood there in my thankful and blessed apron, holding a basting brush, watching her throw out the fresh herbs I'd spent $20 on at the farmer's market. "Jake," I whispered when she stepped out to the car for more bags, "can you say something?" He sighed, wiping his hands on a towel. "Babe, just let her have this one. It's one day. She loves doing this stuff. But it's our house, our Thanksgiving. She's family." I swallowed the lump in my throat and went to check on Lily in the living room. My mom caught my eye from the couch and gave me a sympathetic smile, but she didn't say anything. Nobody did. By the time everyone sat down at 4, the table was loaded with Diane's food. The big turkey sat carved in the center, her dressing, her green bean casserole with the fried onions on top, her canned cranberries sliced into perfect rings. My pecan pie was the only thing left of mine because she'd forgotten to bring dessert and graciously let me serve it. Everyone raved. "Diane, this dressing is to die for. Best green beans I've ever had." Jake's uncle went back for thirds of everything. Diane beamed, accepting compliments like a queen on her throne. I picked at my plate, tasting nothing. Halfway through dinner, Diane raised her glass. "I just want to say how thankful I am to be here with my son, my beautiful granddaughter, and my sweet daughter-in-law who's learning so much." She smiled right at me. Family is everything. Cheers all around. I excused myself to check the coffee and slipped into the laundry room off the kitchen. I shut the door, leaned against the washer, and cried as quietly as I could. Hot, angry tears I'd been holding back for years. This wasn't about turkey or sides. This was about being erased, in my own home, on a holiday that was supposed to be mine. When I came back out, face washed, smile plastered on, no one noticed I'd gone. Later that night, after the dishes were done, mostly by my mom and I while Diane rested her feet, Jake found me on the porch swing. "You okay?" he asked, sitting beside me. I stared at the streetlights. "No, I'm not." He sighed. "It was just food, Em." "It wasn't just food," my voice cracked. "It was everything. She took it all." He was quiet for a long time. Then, "She didn't mean it like that." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because in that moment, I decided something had to change. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew I couldn't keep swallowing this forever. The cracks inside me weren't just cracks anymore. They were turning into canyons.
Spring 2024 rolled in with dogwoods blooming all over Charlotte, and for a minute, things almost felt normal. Lily was 3 now, obsessed with Paw Patrol and painting everything in sight with watercolor sets that left permanent stains on my dining table. Jake got a promotion at work, more travel, bigger bonus, and we started talking about putting money away for a family vacation to Disney. I'd even pinned a few resort ideas on a secret Pinterest board. That's when I noticed the numbers didn't add up. I've always handled our day-to-day bills. Jake makes the big money, but I'm the one who budgets, pays the mortgage, tracks the 529 for Livy. One evening in April, I was reconciling our joint savings account, the one we called the Future Fund, and saw it was lower than it should have been. Not devastated, just off, about 3,000 missing. I figured it was a glitch. Bank errors happen. I called customer service, but everything checked out on their end. Hey, I said to Jake that night over takeout Thai on the couch. Lily was asleep upstairs. Did you move some money out of savings recently? He didn't even look up from his phone. Yeah, probably. Some investments, crypto stuff. 3 grand? He shrugged. Market's hot. Don't worry about it. I let it go. Jake's always been the risk taker with money. I'm the steady one. Opposites attract, right? But then it happened again. June, another 2,000 gone. Then August, 4,000 this time. Each time I asked, he had an answer ready. Work bonus went into a side account, paid off a credit card, helping a buddy with a business thing. The excuses were vague but not alarming enough to fight over. We weren't hurting. His commissions were up, my freelance design work was steady, the house was paid on time, Lily's preschool tuition was covered. Life looked fine from the outside. Then came the bank alert that changed everything. It was a random Tuesday in October. I was at Target with Lily, pushing a cart full of goldfish and pull-ups, when my phone buzzed. Bank notification. Transfer initiated, $8,500 to external account. I stopped dead in the diaper aisle. 85? That was almost half our Disney fund. I logged into the app right there between the Pampers and Huggies. The transfer was real, outgoing, to an account I didn't recognize. The name on it, Diane M. Harper. My mother-in-law's full name. My hands started shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. Lily tugged at my sleeve. Mummy, can we get the princess band-aids? In a minute, baby, I whispered, steering us to the checkout like a robot. The whole drive home, I kept replaying it. Diane? Why would Jake send her almost 9 grand? He got home late that night, some client dinner downtown. I waited until Lily was in bed, then met him in the kitchen while he loosened his tie. Jake. I held up my phone with the alert still on the screen. Care to explain this? He glanced at it, and the color drained from his face. Not annoyed, not defensive, guilty. It's Mom needed help, he said quietly, pouring himself a glass of water with his back to me. Some medical stuff came up. Medical stuff? I repeated. Diane's healthier than both of us. She plays pickleball 3 times a week and brags about her Apple Watch closing all her rings. He turned around, leaning against the counter. It's early stage. She didn't want to worry you. Tests, specialists, it adds up fast. I stared at him. $8,500 worth of tests, and she didn't want to worry me, so she asked you to secretly drain our savings instead? He rubbed the back of his neck, the tell he's had since college when he's hiding something. It's not just this one. There were a few others. She's embarrassed. Insurance doesn't cover everything. A few others. So the missing 3 grand, the 2, the 4, all to Diane. I felt like the floor tilted under me. How much total? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Around 20, maybe 25. $25,000 gone, without a single conversation with me. Jake, I said, voice shaking, we're married. This is our money. You don't get to unilaterally decide to give tens of thousands of dollars to your mother and lie to me about it. I didn't lie. You said investments, credit cards. You looked me in the eye and made up stories. He set the glass down hard. It's my mom, Em. She raised me alone. If she needs help, I help. End of story. Without telling your wife? She asked me not to. She didn't want you thinking she's a burden. I laughed, sharp, bitter. A burden? She's in our house every other day rearranging my life. Now she's taking our savings too? His jaw tightened. You're making this sound worse than it is. Show me the medical bills then. He froze. What? If it's medical, there are statements, invoices. Let's see them. She handles all that. I just send the money. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You've been sending her 5-figure checks and you haven't seen a single bill? She's my mother. I trust her. Those words hit like a slap. I trust her. More than me, apparently. We stood there in the kitchen, the hum of the fridge the only sound. Finally, I said, I want to see the bank statements, all the transfers.
He sighed. I'll get them, but please, don't make this a thing. She's private about her health. I didn't answer. I just walked past him upstairs, closed the bedroom door, and sat on the edge of the bed until the tears came. The next day, I called the bank myself and requested 6 months of statements. They mailed them. When they arrived, I went through every page with a highlighter. 13 transfers, all to Diane, totaling $28,400. No medical codes, no memo lines about doctors or hospitals, just blank. I texted Jake, "We need to talk tonight." He replied, "Can it wait? Big presentation tomorrow." "No," I typed back. "It can't." But when he got home, he was exhausted and I was too angry to fight fairly. We tabled it, again. I told myself I'd bring it up calmly. Soon. But soon turned into weeks. Diane kept showing up. New designer purse one visit, fresh highlights the next, talking about a girls' trip to Asheville with her pickleball friends. No sign of a sick woman. And that's when the doubt turned into something colder. This wasn't just control anymore. This was theft, and my husband was helping her do it.
By early 2025, I was living in a constant low hum of suspicion. The money thing never got resolved the way I wanted. Jake promised to talk to Mom about the transfers, but weeks turned into months and nothing changed. Diane still showed up with new highlights, a fresh Michael Kors bag, or tickets to some Broadway touring show she just had to see. Meanwhile, our Disney fund sat frozen, half empty. I stopped asking, not because I forgave it, because I was tired of hitting the same wall. Jake would get defensive, Diane would play innocent if I hinted at anything, and I'd end up feeling like the villain for questioning family helping family. So I started paying closer attention instead. Diane's visits had ramped up. She'd text Jake in the morning, "Running errands near your neighborhood, mind if I pop by to see my grandbaby?" And an hour later, she'd be at the door with Starbucks for everyone, except me, because she forgot I'd switched to oat milk. But it wasn't just the drop-ins, it was what she did when she was here. She'd help by folding laundry, but I'd find her in our master bedroom putting away Jake's shirts, drawers I knew she had no reason to open. Or she'd offer to dust Jake's home office and spend 20 minutes in there with the door closed. Once, I caught her flipping through the mail on his desk. She laughed it off, "Just looking for that thank you card I sent last week." I told myself I was paranoid. New mom anxiety turned into daughter-in-law anxiety, but the feeling wouldn't go away. Then Lily said something that stopped me cold. It was a random Saturday afternoon in February. Willie was 4 now, chattering nonstop, and we were building a block tower in the living room. Diane had just left after a 2-hour visit. Out of nowhere, Lily pointed up at the smoke detector in the hallway ceiling, the white plastic one we'd had since we moved in. "Grandma talks to the dot," she said casually, stacking another block. I froze. "What dot, baby?" She pointed again. "The little red dot. It blinks when Grandma talks to it." Kids say weird stuff all the time. Imaginary friends, monsters under the bed. But something about the way she said it, so matter-of-fact, made my skin prickle. That night, after Jake and Lily were asleep, I dragged a dining chair into the hallway. I'm 5'4" on a good day, so I had to stand on tiptoes even with the boost. I reached up and twisted the smoke detector off its base. It came away too easily. And there it was, a tiny black lens staring back at me. Not a smoke detector at all, a Wi-Fi camera. High-end, the kind with night vision and motion detection. There was a faint red LED blinking every few seconds, just like Lily said. My heart slammed against my ribs. I didn't scream, I didn't wake Jake. I carefully put it back exactly as I'd found it, climbed down, and went to the kitchen to pour a glass of wine with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Someone was watching us in our own hallway, and the only person who could have installed it, who had unrestricted access, who knew our routines, who was always helping in every corner of the house, was Diane. I spent the next day researching, quietly, on my phone in the carpool line at Lily's preschool, on my laptop while she napped. I learned about nanny cams, hidden cameras disguised as household objects, apps that let you view feeds remotely. That night, I checked every room. The living room carbon monoxide detector? Clean. The nursery nightlight?
Normal, but when I got to the master bedroom, I noticed something off about the clock radio on Jake's side of the bed. It was slightly angled differently than I remembered. I waited until he was in the shower, then unscrewed the back. Another camera. Smaller this time, but definitely live. 2 cameras in our home, one pointed at the hallway and front door, one aimed right at our bed. I felt violated in a way I couldn't even name. Someone had been watching us sleep, change clothes, argue, make love, and I knew who it was. But I didn't confront anyone, not yet. I'd learned the hard way that exploding wouldn't work. Jake would defend her, Diane would cry and play victim. I needed proof they couldn't spin. So I ordered my own gear, a tiny pinhole camera from Amazon, motion-activated, HD, with a 128GB card that could store weeks of footage. I installed it inside a fake plant on the dresser in our bedroom, angled perfectly toward the closet where Jake kept his safe, the safe with our important papers, extra cash, my jewelry. I told myself I was crazy, that I was turning into one of those paranoid wives on true crime podcasts. But I also told myself I deserved to know the truth. For 3 weeks, I checked the footage every night after everyone was asleep. Nothing. Diane came and went, cooed over Lily, rearranged my spice rack alphabetically this time, honey. It's so much more efficient. No midnight visits, no suspicious moves. I started to doubt myself. Maybe the cameras were Jake's, some weird security thing he hadn't told me about. Then on a Thursday night in March, the motion alert pinged at 2:14 a.m. I opened the app in bed, heart racing, volume all the way down. There she was, Diane, letting herself in with her key, in the dark, moving like she owned the place. She went straight to our bedroom, passed right under the original hallway camera she'd installed, and headed for the closet. She knew the safe code. Of course she did. She opened it, pulled out 2 thick envelopes of cash, the emergency money we kept for hurricanes or job loss, and slipped them into her purse. Then she walked to my dresser, opened my jewelry box, and took out my grandmother's diamond necklace, the one I wore on my wedding day. She held it up to the moonlight coming through the window, draped it around her neck, and looked at herself in the mirror. She smiled. A real, satisfied smile, like it already belonged to her. She didn't take it that night. She put it back carefully, but the message was clear. I watched the footage 3 times, tears rolling down my face in the dark. This wasn't a concerned mother keeping an eye on her son's family. This was invasion, theft, control taken to a whole new level. I made backups of the video, saved them to the cloud, to a USB drive hidden in my tampon box, the one no one would ever look. I didn't tell Jake, not yet, because now I knew if I was going to take my life back, I had to be smart. The quiet invasion wasn't so quiet anymore, and I was done being the one who didn't see it coming.
I didn't sleep much after that first footage. For days, I walked around like a ghost in my own house, smiling at Lily during breakfast, kissing Jake goodbye in the driveway, waving at Diane when she popped by with a new toy for her grandbaby. All while knowing she'd been in our bedroom at 2 a.m. trying on my necklace like some creepy dress-up game. I kept the hidden camera running. Every night, I'd wait until the house was quiet, then plug my phone into the charger, open the app, and scan for new motion alerts. Most nights, nothing. Just Jake snoring or me getting up to pee. But I knew she'd come back. People like Diane don't stop at one taste. It happened again on a rainy Tuesday in late March. Jake was out of town for a sales conference in Atlanta, gone since Sunday, back Thursday. Perfect opportunity for her. The alert hit at 1:57 a.m. I was wide awake anyway, scrolling mindlessly on my phone under the covers. I opened the feed immediately. There she was again. Same routine, front door unlocked with her key, shoes off in the entryway so she wouldn't make noise on the hardwood. She wore black yoga pants and a dark hoodie, clothes I'd never seen her in during the day, almost like she'd planned for darkness. She didn't bother turning on any lights. She knew the layout that well. Straight up the stairs, past Lily's room, door cracked, nightlight glowing, into our bedroom. I watched, heart pounding, as she went directly to the closet, opened Jake's safe. Same code, of course. This time she took 3 envelopes, thick ones, I knew exactly what was in them. The cash we'd been setting aside for a new HVAC system, $10,000 total, in hundreds. She didn't even count it, just slipped the envelopes into a crossbody bag under her hoodie. Then she moved to my dresser, opened the jewelry box again. This time, she didn't stop at trying things on. She took the necklace, my grandmother's diamond pendant on a white gold chain, and dropped it into a velvet pouch. Then she grabbed my pearl earrings, the ones Jake gave me for our 5th anniversary, and the gold bangle I wore almost every day. All of it went into the pouch. She closed the box gently, like she was tucking in a baby. But she wasn't done. She walked to Jake's nightstand, opened the drawer, and pulled out his watch, the Rolex his dad left him before he walked out, the only thing Jake had from his father. She turned it over in her hands, held it up to the faint street light coming through the blinds, then slid it onto her own wrist. She looked in the mirror again, smiled that same satisfied smile. Then she whispered something. I couldn't hear it on the footage, no audio on my cheap camera, but I read her lips clear as day. Mine now. I felt bile rise in my throat. She left as quietly as she came. Total time inside the house, 11 minutes. I sat there in bed until sunrise, replaying the video over and over, memorizing every second. The next morning, I acted normal, made coffee, packed Lily's lunch for preschool, texted Jake good morning like nothing was wrong, but inside, I was screaming. Diane showed up that afternoon, right on cue. Just wanted to check on my girls while Jake's away, she sang, letting herself in with a Tupperware of homemade banana bread. She was wearing the Rolex, not hidden, right there on her wrist, glinting under the kitchen lights. I stared at it while she hugged Lily. "New watch?" I asked, voice sweet as Splenda. She glanced down, touched it almost tenderly. "Oh, this old thing. Jake let me borrow it. Said it needed to be worn more." Liar. I smiled. "Looks good on you." Inside, I was ice. That night, Jake called from his hotel. "Everything okay at home?" "Perfect," I said. "Your mom stopped by. She's wearing your dad's watch, by the way. Said you loaned it to her." Silence on the line. Then, yeah, sure. She mentioned it needed cleaning or something." He was lying too, covering for her. Always covering. I didn't push it, not over the phone. Instead, I made copies of everything. The first footage, the second, close-ups of her taking the cash and jewelry. I uploaded them to a private Google Drive, emailed the files to myself at a new Gmail account I'd made just for this, and saved them on 2 separate USB drives, one hidden in Lily's old diaper bag in the attic, and one in my car's glove box. I started documenting everything else, too. Screenshots of the bank transfers, photos of Diane's new purses, her fresh manicures, the girls' weekend photos she posted on Facebook from a spa in Charleston, dates that lined up perfectly with the days money disappeared from our account. I even drove to her house one day while she was at pickleball. Her cute little ranch in Raleigh looked the same from the outside, but I noticed new things. A fresh coat of paint, new landscaping, a shiny new Lexus parked in the driveway instead of the older model she'd had for years. All on our money. My money. Our future. I started therapy in secret, found a counselor through my insurance app, booked sessions during Lily's preschool hours. The first visit, I just cried for 45 minutes. The second, I showed her the footage on my laptop. She didn't gasp or judge. She just nodded and said one word that explained everything. Enmeshment. Diane doesn't see boundaries. She sees Jake, and by extension, you and Lily, as extensions of herself. What's his is hers. What's yours is hers. She's not just controlling. She feels entitled. I asked the question that kept me up at night. Why can't Jake see it? "Because he's been trained not to," she said gently. "Since he was a kid, she's his only parent. Saying no to her feels like abandoning her, like being the bad son who left her alone." I left that session with a plan. Not a blowout, not yet. I needed more, one final piece that Jake couldn't ignore or explain away. So I kept the camera rolling, and I waited.
because I knew she'd come back again. Greed like that doesn't stop. And when she did, I'd be ready, with proof he couldn't deny, proof that would force him to choose, once and for all.
April 2025 felt like the calm before a storm I could finally see coming. I had the footage, 3 separate nights now. Diane slipping in like a thief, taking cash, jewelry, Jake's watch. I'd burned the videos to a USB drive labeled Taxes 2023 and hidden it behind the winter boots in my closet. I'd emailed encrypted links to myself and even printed still frames on photo paper tucked into an envelope in my safety deposit box at the bank. I was ready, or at least I thought I was. I planned the confrontation for a Saturday, when Lily was at a birthday party in Ballantyne. Jake and I would sit on the couch, I'd plug my laptop into the TV, hit play, and watch his world crack open. He'd see her for what she was. He had to. But Diane beat me to the punch. Friday night, Jake got home late from work. I was in the kitchen making tacos, ground turkey because Lily had decided red meat was yucky. The doorbell rang. Not the knock Diane usually used, an actual doorbell ring. Jake opened it. I heard her voice before I saw her, shaky, tearful. "Honey, I'm so sorry to come over unannounced, but I need to talk to you both." She walked in clutching a Kleenex, eyes red, face blotchy, no makeup, hair pulled back messy, things I'd never seen on her. She looked broken. "Mom, what's wrong?" Jake rushed to her, guiding her to the couch like she was fragile. I stayed in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, taco seasoning still on my hands. She sat, took a deep breath, and looked at me first, direct eye contact that felt like a challenge. I got the results back from the biopsy. Jake went rigid. "Biopsy?" She nodded, tears spilling. "They found something. Early stage breast cancer, luminal B. I didn't want to say anything until I knew for sure, but it's real." The room spun. Jake dropped to his knees in front of her. "Mom, oh my God, why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to scare you. You have so much on your plate. Work, Lily, the house." She reached for his hand. "But the treatment, it's going to be aggressive. Chemo, maybe radiation. I'm terrified." He pulled her into a hug, holding her while she sobbed into his shoulder. "We're here, whatever you need. Money, rides, staying here, anything." I stood frozen, watching her cry those perfect tears. Then, over Jake's shoulder, she looked at me again. And there it was, the tiniest smirk. Gone in a blink, but I saw it. My stomach twisted. "Emily," she said softly, pulling back from Jake, "I know I've been a lot. I'm sorry if I've overstepped. I just want to be part of this family while I still can." Jake turned to me, eyes pleading. "Babe, we have to be there for her, now more than ever." I forced my voice steady. "Of course." Inside, sirens were screaming. That night, after she left, Jake walking her to her car, promising to call tomorrow, I sat on the bed and stared at my laptop. The footage folder was right there on the desktop. One click and I could show him everything. But now there was cancer. Real or not, he believed it. And if I played the videos now, I'd look like a monster, the cruel daughter-in-law attacking a sick woman. I closed the laptop. The next morning, Diane texted the family group chat, proof, a photo of a pathology report with her name on it, black bars over some parts for privacy. Jake showed it to me like it was gospel. "It's stage 2, he said, but caught early. Good prognosis." I nodded. "That's good." He hugged me. "Thank you for being understanding. I know things have been tense with Mom, but this changes everything." Does it? I thought. Over the next weeks, Diane leaned into the role. She showed up with a scarf for When the Hair Goes, talked about oncologists at Levine Cancer Institute, even posted a vague Facebook update about leaning on faith in family during a health challenge. Likes and prayers poured in, but I watched closer. No visible weight loss, no fatigue. She still played pickleball, posted a selfie from the court with the caption, "Exercise is medicine." She got a new haircut, easier to manage during treatment, but it was highlighted and layered, not shaved or thinned. And the spending didn't stop. New Kate Spade purse, tickets to the Panthers game with friends. I quietly called the cancer center, pretending to be her confirming an appointment.
"We have no record of a Diane Harper," the receptionist said. HIPAA means they wouldn't confirm anyway, but still, I needed more proof the cancer was fake, without looking like I was hoping she was lying. Jake was all in. He transferred another $5,000 for upcoming bills. He offered our guest room indefinitely. He even suggested she move in so we can take care of her. I started therapy again, twice a week now, drove 40 minutes to a counselor in Fort Mill so no one in Charlotte would recognize me. The first session after the diagnosis, I unloaded everything: the money, the cameras, the footage, the smirk. My therapist, Dr. Reyes, listened without interrupting. When she finished, she leaned forward. "This sounds like advanced manipulation, possibly factitious disorder imposed on others, or just straight financial and emotional abuse. But the key here is Jake's enmeshment." She explained it. Diane had been Jake's only parent, his emotional partner, his everything after his dad left. Saying no to her felt like betrayal. Seeing her as flawed felt like destroying his own foundation. "He's not stupid," she said. "He's trapped. And right now, with the cancer announcement, any challenge to her narrative will feel like abandoning a dying mother." "So what do I do?" I asked, voice breaking. "You wait for an opening. You keep documenting, and you protect yourself and Lily. Boundaries now, explosion later." I left with homework, a list of small, firm boundaries I could set without looking heartless. No unannounced visits, text first. No rearranging without asking. Guest room stays a guest room, not a permanent. Jake pushed back gently. "She's sick, Em," I'd say. "I know, but we still need routines for Lily." He'd agree, reluctantly. Diane, of course, tested every one. One afternoon, she showed up without texting, claiming I was in the neighborhood after my infusion. No proof of infusion, no port scar, nothing. I met her at the door. "Diane, we talked about texting first." She blinked, hurt. "I'm sorry, honey, chemo brain." Jake overheard and gave me a look. I let her in, but I didn't stop watching. Or recording, because I knew the truth would come out eventually. And when it did, I'd be ready with evidence no cancer diagnosis could erase.
July 2025 hit Charlotte like a furnace, humid, relentless, the kind of heat that makes you crank the AC and pray the power grid holds. Inside our house, the temperature was even higher. Diane's cancer had become the centerpiece of every conversation. Jake was researching clinical trials, scheduling her appointments, even looking into meal delivery services for chemo days. She'd started wearing scarves just in case, posting inspirational quotes on Facebook about warriors and faith. The whole family orbited around her, except me. I'd kept my mouth shut for 3 months, smiled through her visits, let her rearrange the pantry again, held my tongue when she suggested we turn Lily's playroom into a recovery suite for her. But the final straw came on a Wednesday morning. I was in the kitchen blending smoothies for breakfast when my phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "Mom's moving in next week. She's starting treatment and shouldn't be alone." I said yes, we'll make it work. Love you. No discussion, no heads up, just done. I stared at the screen until it went black. She was moving in, permanently from the sound of it. Suitcases, her furniture, her rules, forever. Something inside me snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet, clean break. That night, after Jake fell asleep, exhausted from another day of playing devoted son, I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark and made my decision. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more protecting his feelings at the expense of mine. Tomorrow, when she arrived with her stuff, I would speak up. Thursday morning came fast. Lily was at a summer camp day program, so the house was empty when Diane pulled up at 9 sharp. Her Lexus was loaded, suitcases visible through the back window, boxes stacked in the passenger seat. Jake helped her unload while I stood on the porch in shorts and a tank top, coffee mug in hand, watching like it was someone else's life. She breezed up the steps in linen pants and a silk blouse, hugging Jake first, then turning to me with that practiced, fragile smile. "Emily, honey, thank you for opening your home. I promise I won't be any trouble." I didn't smile back. "Diane," I said, voice calm and steady, "you're not moving in."
She froze mid-step, laughed lightly like I'd made a joke. "Sweetheart, Jake and I already discussed." "No," I cut her off, louder this time. "Jake and I are married. This is our home. You don't get a vote." Jake turned from the car, holding a suitcase. "Babe, what's going on?" I looked him dead in the eye. "What's going on is I'm done. I've been quiet for 6 years while your mother has controlled our money, our home, our marriage, even put cameras in our house to spy on us. I have proof." Diane's face went slack. "Cameras? Emily, that's ridiculous." I didn't let her finish. I walked inside, grabbed my laptop from the kitchen island, and plugged it into the living room TV. Jake followed, confused. Diane hesitated on the porch, then came in slowly, like she was walking into a trap she hadn't seen coming. "Sit," I said. They did. I opened the folder, hit play on the first video. The hallway camera discovery was just the start. I'd compiled a highlight reel. Every midnight visit, every envelope of cash disappearing into her purse, the jewelry, the watch, her smiling at herself in the mirror. The room was silent except for the faint audio clicks from the footage. Diane went white as a sheet. Jake's mouth actually fell open. When the clip ended with her whispering, "Mine now," while wearing his dad's Rolex, I paused it. "Explain that," I said quietly. Diane recovered first. Of course she did. Tears welled up instantly. I was just checking on the house while you were away. I was worried about break-ins. The cameras were for security." Security that watches us sleep? Security that lets you steal $30,000 from our savings? Security that involves trying on my wedding necklace at 2 a.m.? Jake finally spoke, voice hoarse. "Mom, is this real?" She turned to him, reaching for his hand. "Honey, she's twisting it. I needed help with medical bills. You know that. I didn't want to burden her." "Medical bills, right, the ones from the cancer you don't have." Her head snapped toward me. "How dare you?" I pulled up the screenshots, her Facebook spa photos on chemo days, the pickleball selfies, the call log from Levine Cancer Institute confirming no patient named Diane Harper. Jake stared at the screen like he didn't recognize his own mother. "I trusted you," he whispered. Diane switched tactics, full victim mode. "After everything I sacrificed, raising you alone, this is how you repay me?" She stood, tears streaming. "You'll regret this. I raised him. He'll always choose me in the end." Jake looked at her for a long, terrible moment. Then he said so quietly I almost missed it, "Get out." She blinked. "What?" "Get out of our house and give me your key." His voice didn't shake. It was flat, final. Diane's face twisted, shock, then rage. "You're choosing her over your own mother?" "I'm choosing my family, my wife, my daughter, the ones you've been lying to and stealing from for years." She screamed then, actually screamed, called me every name she could think of. Ungrateful, jealous, cruel. She grabbed her purse, stormed to the door. "You'll come crawling back," she spat at Jake. "When she traps you with another baby or drains your bank account, you'll see." He didn't answer, just held out his hand. She threw the key at his beat and left, tires squealing down the street. The silence after was deafening. Jake sank on the couch, head in his hands. I sat beside him, not touching yet. He said, "I didn't know. I swear to God, Em, I didn't know it was this bad." I believed him. In that moment, I did. He looked up, eyes red. "How long?" I said. "Years. But the cameras, the theft, that started after Lily." He nodded slowly, like he was processing a death. We sat there until the sun shifted across the living room floor. Finally, he reached for my hand. "I'm sorry, for all of it, for not seeing, for letting her." His voice broke. I squeezed his hand. "We'll fix it, but it starts now." That afternoon, we changed the locks, removed every camera we could find, opened a new joint account, just us, transferred what was left of our money, and we booked our first couples counseling session for the following week. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a beginning. The day I finally spoke up didn't just change everything, it saved us.
The day Diane left our house for the last time felt like the end of a war nobody else knew we'd been fighting. Her tires screeched down the street, and then, nothing. just the hum of the AC and the distant sound of a lawnmower somewhere in the neighborhood. Jake stood in the doorway staring at the spot where her Lexus had been, like he expected her to come roaring back any second. She didn't. I closed the door, locked it. For the first time in years, it felt like the sound of freedom. Jake turned to me, face pale, eyes hollow. I think I'm gonna be sick. He wasn't exaggerating. He made it to the half bath off the kitchen just in time. I stood outside the door listening to him heave, feeling a mix of pity and rage I couldn't sort out yet. When he came out, he rinsed his mouth and leaned against the wall. How did I not see it? I didn't have an answer that wouldn't hurt more, so I just handed him a glass of water. We spent the rest of the day in a fog, returned Diane's suitcases and boxes to the curb for her to pick up later. She never did, we donated most of it. Removed the last hidden camera we found tucked behind a bookshelf, changed every lock, added a Ring doorbell, reprogrammed the garage code. Jake called in sick to work the next day, something he never does. We sat on the back porch drinking coffee while Lily played in the yard, oblivious to the earthquake that had just hit her family. He kept shaking his head. The cancer thing, that was the worst part, making me think she was dying just to keep control. I nodded. She knew exactly what button to push. He looked at me, eyes wet. I let her push mine for 35 years. That afternoon, Diane started blowing up his phone. Texts at first, "I'm sorry, I was scared, we can fix this." Then voicemails, sobbing, pleading, accusing. "You're breaking your mother's heart. She's turned you against me. I have no one now." Jake listened to one, then turned his phone off. By evening, the tone changed. Angry texts. "You'll regret this. I gave you everything. Ungrateful, just like your father." He showed me that one. His hand shook. She always said I was like him when I didn't do what she wanted. I took the phone, blocked her number. Not anymore. But Diane wasn't done. Over the next weeks, she tried everything. Flowers delivered with cards. "Forgive me, I'm sick with shame." Emails from a new address. "Let's talk like adults." Drive-bys. She'd park across the street for an hour just watching the house. Once, she left a stuffed animal on the porch for Lily with a note, "Grandma misses you so much." Jake held strong at first, but I saw the cracks. He'd stare at old photos on his phone, him and Diane at his college graduation, at his first apartment, at our wedding. He'd tear up and walk away. One night, about 3 weeks in, he broke. We were in bed, lights off, when he whispered, "What if the cancer was real? What if I just abandoned her?" I sat up. "Jake, we checked. There's no record. She faked the report, photoshopped it. You saw the pixelation around the date." He nodded in the dark. "I know, but she's still my mom." I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I called a lawyer, quietly, just to know our options. Turns out, financial exploitation of a family member, especially with proof like videos, was serious. We could file for a restraining order, press charges if we wanted. I didn't want criminal charges, I just wanted her gone. We filed for the protective order instead, cited harassment, theft, the cameras as stalking. The footage was gold. The judge granted it temporarily within days. 50 yards, no contact, no gifts, no drive-bys. Diane got served at her house. She showed up at the courthouse for the hearing in full victim mode. Scarf on her head like she'd lost hair to chemo, cane she didn't need, tears on cue. Told the judge I'd brainwashed her son, that the videos were edited, that she was a sick woman being persecuted. Jake testified, voice shaking but clear. He played one clip, the one where she took the Rolex and said, "Mine now." The judge extended the order for 2 years. Diane screamed in the hallway after, "You'll burn in hell for this." Security escorted her out. That night, Jake sobbed in the shower. Not quiet tears, full body, gut-wrenching sobs that echoed off the tile. I sat on the bathroom floor outside the curtain and listened until he was done. When he came out wrapped in a towel, he looked 10 years older. "I feel like I just buried her." I said, "You buried the version you thought she was. The real one's been gone a long time." He started individual therapy the next week, a guy who specialized in enmeshment and toxic parents. I kept going to mine. We started couples counseling too. Twice a month, no excuses. It was brutal. Jake had to unpack decades of guilt. The single mom who made him her emotional husband after his dad left, how saying no felt like killing her, how he'd let her hurt me to avoid that feeling. He apologized. A lot. Not just words, actions. He gave me full access to every account, let me lead on boundaries, showed up to every session, did the homework. Some days he'd relapse, check his blocked messages, Google parental alienation, wonder if we'd gone too far. I'd remind him she stole from us, spied on us, lied about dying. He'd nod, breathe, keep going. Diane tried one last stunt in September, showed up at Lily's preschool with a giant teddy bear and balloons, crying to the director about being kept from her granddaughter. The school called me. I forwarded the restraining order. Police escorted her off the property. That was the final nail. Even Jake stopped doubting after that. By November, the house felt different, quieter, lighter. I cooked Thanksgiving again, this time without a second turkey showing up. My pecan pie sat alone in the center of the table. Everyone raved. Jake gave a toast. To the strongest woman I know. Thank you for saving us. He looked right at me when he said that. We weren't healed, not even close. There were still nights he woke up from dreams about her, nights I got irrationally angry at innocent things because the rage had to go somewhere. But we were fighting for us now, not against each other. The reckoning wasn't loud, no dramatic movie moment. It was quiet choices day after day. And for the first time in years, they were ours.
It's been 5 months now since the blow-up, December 2025. And some mornings, I still wake up expecting to hear Diane's key in the door. But the house stays quiet, blissfully, beautifully quiet. Charlotte winter has settled in. Gray skies, bare trees, the occasional flurry that melts before it hits the ground. We put up Christmas lights on the porch for the first time without Diane suggesting a better color scheme. Jake and Lily picked multicolored ones. I didn't argue. They blink randomly now, half the strand out because Jake's not great with extension cords, but we leave them. Imperfect feels perfect these days. The restraining order is still in place. Diane hasn't violated it since the preschool incident. Maybe she finally got the message, or maybe she's just biding her time. Either way, we don't talk about her much anymore. When Lily asks why Grandma doesn't come over, we keep it simple. Grandma's taking a break. She accepts it, moves on to asking if Santa likes chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin better. Kids are resilient like that. Jake's different now. Not fixed. Therapy doesn't work that fast, but different in ways that matter. He's in individual sessions every Tuesday night. Comes home quieter, sometimes with red eyes, but he talks about it now. How Diane made her emotional anchor after his dad left. How every yes to her felt like survival. How saying no that day in the living room felt like ripping out part of his own heart. One night in October, he handed me his phone. Check anything you want. Emails, texts, bank app, no secrets. I didn't take it right away. I trust you. He said, I know, but I need you to know you can. I looked anyway. Nothing. No hidden chats with her, no guilt money transfers, just fantasy football trash talk with his buddies, and a playlist called M's Favorites he'd been building. That meant more than any grand gesture. Couples counseling is harder. We fight there, in a good way. About the years he let her walk over me. About how I swallowed my anger until it almost swallowed us. About money, we're rebuilding the savings slower than we'd like. About sex, stress killed it for months. We're finding our way back. Our therapist, Dr. Patel, keeps saying the same thing. Healing isn't linear. It's messy. Keep showing up. We do. The house itself feels like ours again. I painted the kitchen a deep teal Diane would have called too bold. Jake hung shelves in the garage without asking her opinion on the layout. We turned the guest room back into an office for me. Big desk by the window, plants everywhere. My design work spread out without fear of her organizing it. I cook what I want now. Tried a new shrimp etouffee recipe last week that turned out spicy as hell. Lily hated it, Jake sweated through dinner, but we laughed until we cried. No one showed up with a better version. Money's tighter than it used to be. We never got most of the stolen cash back. Diane claimed it was gifts, and the lawyer said civil suit would cost more than we'd recover. But we're careful now. Separate accounts for personal spending, joint for everything else. Jake's bonus this year went straight into Lily's 529 and a new roof fund. He even started side hustling, consulting gigs on weekends. Says it feels good to earn without her shadow. Some days are still hard. Thanksgiving was weird. Just us, my parents, and Jake's Aunt Linda, the only relative who believed us without hesitation. We ate my pecan pie and nobody pretended otherwise. But Jake got quiet toward the end, staring at his empty wine glass. Later, he admitted he missed the old noise, the big crowd, the chaos, even the parts that hurt. I get it. Grief is weird. You don't just mourn the bad, you mourn the good that was tangled up in it. Christmas is coming, and we're keeping it small. Disney trip got postponed, maybe summer 2026 now, but we're doing a weekend in the mountains. Cabin with a hot tub, no Wi-Fi, just board games and s'mores. Lily's already packed her suitcase 3 times. Diane sent one thing, a Christmas card forwarded through Jake's work address. She's sneaky. Inside, a generic Hallmark message and a check for $500 for Lily. We tore it up, deposited nothing, mailed the pieces back with no note. Petty? Maybe, but boundaries feel good. Jake's therapist says he's re-parenting himself, learning to be the adult Diane never let him become. He reads books about toxic parents now, dog-ears pages, leaves them on the nightstand for me to find. One night, he asked, "Do you think I'll ever miss her?" "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I think you'll stop needing her." He nodded, held me tighter. Me? I'm stronger than I thought I was. I finished a big freelance project last month, branding for a local brewery, and used the check to buy myself something ridiculous, a vintage leather jacket I'd eyed for years. Wore it to pick Lily up from school. Felt like armor. I still flinch sometimes when the doorbell rings unexpectedly, still check the Ring app more than I should, but the fear is fading. Lily calls our house Mommy and Daddy's castle now. She draws pictures of the 3 of us with crowns, no grandma in sight. Kids know, even when we think they don't. Last week, Jake and I stayed up late wrapping presents. The tree lights were the only glow in the room. He handed me a small box, not under the tree yet. Inside, my grandmother's diamond necklace. He'd had it cleaned, new clasp, engraved on the back, E, forever yours, J. He said, "I got it back from the lawyer, evidence release." I hadn't even known he'd asked. I cried, ugly cried. He held me on the living room floor until I was done. This isn't a fairy tale ending. There's no "and they lived happily ever after" yet. Therapy bills are high, trust is a slow rebuild. Some nights we still argue about old wounds, but we're here, choosing each other every day. I finally feel like I live in this house, like my voice matters, like I'm not just the daughter-in-law who kept quiet. I'm the wife who spoke up, the mom who protected her family, the woman who saved us by refusing to disappear. And damn, it feels good. Not perfect, but ours. Finally, completely ours.